Hello, Wastelanders! Welcome back to Wastelanders Weekly, where after a rather long hiatus,
Don't hate us.
we finally took the bunker bat and got everything fixed back up. It seems some folks out there don't like free-range radio stations. But we're all back again with Bad Pun and yours truly, Roy Calbeck.
Up in the engineering booth is Gamma Deekay, the glowing ghoul with a tech old school.
Heyo.
And it's time to get back up to snuff on who's getting snuffed in the Equestrian Wasteland.
And we have an illustrious guest star. No one, that's right, no one at all answered our radio calls for guesting on the show.
Besides, he was already on last year.
But in the news today, a fledgling griffin and his pony pals hauled the biggest Yawgwai head ever into the market square at Mount Reindeer up by Van Hoover. Great first kill, kid. Hope you got paid for it.
In the frozen north, a Steel Ranger dirigible has gone down in flames. Supposedly, the lone surviving scribe has decided to set up the intended winter trot chapter of the Rangers anyway. Now that's persistence, or just plain stupidity.
And still up there in the single Pegasus project, Little Pip the Lightbringer is supposedly still macking on our immortal non-sovereign Celestia. How are those electrons hanging, ladies?
Then in some bad news, there's reports from the Talons that lyrebirds are now migrating south out of the nasty winter that the magical fallout provides us.
Now, was that liar with an L-I-A-R or an L-Y-R-E?
Kind of both, really. The Talons say that it's a creature that draws upon a pony's guilt, so that's almost everyone.
Well, that seems like it would really suck. Anyways, hey BP, you hear that?
Yeah, I think I do.
It's commercial time! Let's take that all together again. 1, 2, 3. Hello, Gamma?
Wait, am I supposed to join in?
It says the line is all. All right, and here is a word from our sponsors. Thank Luna we finally have some. First of all, it's Unicornucopia Markets, bringing you the best in post-bail fodder nutrition and personal goods. From Rat Hog to Rataway, we've got what you need. Now with stores in New Canterlot, New Coltifornia, New Pegasus, the Federation, and Detroit.
Hey, Roy, speaking of, isn't that coffee you're drinking from Unicornucopia?
Yeah?
How do you take yours?
Black and bitter, like every mare who's ever left me.
Oh. Hello, everypony. Do you wear contacts? If so, are you ever afraid of losing them? Are you almost certain that you found the very last pair of your prescription in the whole wasteland? If so, well, fret no more, as there is now a permanent end to your problem. Pink Eye, the pink cloud solution. Pink Eye's patented formula renders pink cloud into a mostly harmless gel that you simply dip and slip right on your contacts. Once applied, those peepers aren't going anywhere. They'll be fused tight and everything's all right. So when you've got nothing to lose but your vision, choose Pink Eye.
Which happens to be the perfect segue for this week's Tale from the Wasteland, Duck and Cover. Because if you didn't think your life was crappy before, wait till you lose a leg to a Nerf gun. Starting off with the prologue here, or the first chapter, does it even matter anymore? This thing just, I don't know where this stuff comes from. It shows up outside. We pop open the hatch one morning, I've just had breakfast, I'm having my first coffee, boom, there's a giant stack of old paper out there.
I would like to point out it probably comes from ponies somewhere.
Hey, there's more than just ponies out there.
This is true, yes.
Right, a zebra wizard did it. Okay.
Have you seen them show up?
Nobody knows where it comes from anyway. Just kind of happens.
Everything around here just kind of happens.
Maybe it follows a bunch of tubes.
I still don't know how Rippy the Wonder Raider is alive after a year here. I don't know what he's been eating. So, straight into Duck and Cover with War Occasionally Changes. War sometimes changes. I mean, it must have changed at some point, right? And somehow Doubt Ponykind always had the ability to turn the entirety of Equestria into that charred stuff at the bottom of a barbecue. We probably don't have it now either, otherwise we'd just be blitzing it all the time. Where was I even going with this? Man, if this wasn't the most pretentious fucking way to start off a story, start with an Aesop about the brutality of war, that'll go down the treat. The hell with that. You're here to hear my story, not hear me spout nihilistic crap about genocide or whatever. You've probably heard of the stables, right? Those big bunkers with corporate-run social experiments that usually result in everyone inside dying or going insane, shoddily disguised as balefire shelters. And now that I think about it, there's not a lot of stable about them. Hoof quotes there. The big metal door at the front locked shut like a bank vault to keep the precious Morhove Quote's life inside in the event of everything going tits up. Vaults, my codes are getting tired here. It seems an awful lot more descriptive. It sounds like stable was some marketees crap that a pre-war advertising agency came up with to try and sell the concept of spending the rest of your life in a hole in the ground to a retarded public. But whatever, everyone calls them stables, so in the interest of clarity, I'm going to stick to that. I'm Adam Smasher, and I was born in Stable 512. The funny thing about Stable 512 is that it was so far down the list of stables to be built that you can barely think of it as a stable at all. Sure, it's a bunch of tunnels, and they managed to plate the walls and floors, but there's panels missing everywhere, half the life support systems have never worked, and the outer door was never finished. Seriously, the only thing standing between Stable 512 and the Merseyside Wasteland are two regular locked doors. And it mostly did the trick, I guess, because as long as I've been down here, we've never had anything nasty get in. But I'll get back to the top-notch security later. I have to talk about me some more. I can only guess that I got the name Adam Smasher from being colored like a radiation hazard sign. You can see me coming from a mile off. Fucking safety orange coat and bright green mane. I came to embrace being lit up like a hearth-warming tree by genetics. Everyone down in the stable was just so dreary and morose all the time. I mean, can you blame them when they're all like gray and brown and shit? Sucks to be them. I guess it behooves me, if these puns keep coming, I'm going to strangle myself to say what I did in the stable. Nothing personal, BP. All these stable dwellers that fall out of their cozy little cots and manage not to shit themselves for long enough to survive 10 minutes in the wasteland are always like, I was my stable's marriage counselor. I was a hairdresser. I was a pip-butt technician. You gotta remember, Stable 512 is probably the least stable stable that had ponies living in it. Fuck, there's another pun.
Oh, come on.
Well, that's what it says. In fact, that's supposed to be on all caps. So I guess I'm supposed to yell it. Screw that. There wasn't any formal settling in it or anything like that. A bunch of ponies just ducked inside when the shit hit the fan and waited for it all to blow over. And rough and ready as it was for the longest time, it was still better in the stable than up top. There were some plans around for fixing things like social organization, pit bucks, stuff like that, but ponies are fucking stupid. They tried going on like they had before, just in the environment of a stable. Immediately, all the farming-type ponies were out of a job because all the food came out of machines. Not 10 minutes into the apocalypse, and there's already an unemployment crisis. And it's not like ponies are good at upskilling either. They've got their destiny pictured on their butt. So whenever they try to do something else, they're all like, but this isn't my special talent, and get all depressed. Then we have the staggering shortage of mechanic types. There's maybe one pony who had to keep all the life support systems going at the start, and there wouldn't be more until the first generation of foals born in the stable. Then there was the complete disregard for proper operating procedure of the stable. There was a coup or two by security, the fact that the jumpsuit dispensers didn't stitch a number in, so someone had the job of sewing 512 into everyone manually. Just a mess. Still better than the Wasteland, though. So, because of this unique stable circumstance, I didn't really have a proper job. I had a talent, all right. Ever since I was 12, I've had that Adam from the Duck and Cover magazines on my ass, and the stable has had unisex bathrooms. But blowing shit up doesn't have many applications in a long-term bomb shelter. In fact, some sensible soul thought it would be a good idea to make grenades and dynamite scarce after this. And I had to make do with cherry bombs and a Nerf gun to amuse myself. In hindsight, the logical thing to do would have been just to kill me, but they probably couldn't bring themselves to kill a filly. Spot the stable dwellers, eh? Anyway, now you have the late teenage me with a dwindling supply of cherry bombs and a Nerf gun trying to find something to do. I was depressed as a peach farmer watching their dinner being squirted out of a converted ice cream machine. I did a lot of exploring. The thing about the stable is that after a while, ponies just stopped going to certain places. The layout wasn't confirmed when they moved in, so ponies just set things up along paths of least resistance. There were whole wings of the place that hadn't been touched for decades when I found them. I could blast stuff there and not be heard, which it's not as fulfilling as turning the overseer's chair into a moon rocket, but it's a vent. But this was hardly the most important thing about my exploration. You know, I really like this protagonist so far.
I like that he is the same colors as me.
Yes.
I like my colors. Well, I miss my name.
Well, you at least have the green eyes to make up for the lack of green mane, so it's close.
This is true.
Now, I would have been like 19 or so when I found the stable's front door, or rather, the doorway. It had taken me a couple of weeks to find a way to get through the last 2 doors, those 2 locked ones I was telling you about earlier. Cherry bombs don't cut it on blast doors, and there isn't a normal door lock to pick, so it was a right pain in the ass, but I did it. After all this trying, I got this second door to unlock, and I spent a full 2 minutes just shoving and bucking at it to get the damn rusty old thing to open, and when it finally twisted off its hinges, I got hit with a wave of cold, wet air. I mean, most of the air in the stable is cold and wet, but it's also clammy and recycled. This was weirdly fresh, but probably radioactive. If I were stepping out of a proper stable, I might have had my pit buck start clicking like crazy, but stable 512 had maybe 2 working pet bucks ever, and 1 Geiger counter besides. The thing on my foreleg was a bit of scrap metal with a sticker on it. I'm not sure how happy those peach farmers were to find out the stable had a fully functional printer and stacks upon stacks of sticker paper, but all of the food was artificial nutrient goop. Did I just spend a paragraph on walking through a door? If that's how this is going to go, then this is going to be a really long story. So I break down this door, and I'm into the hallway of the stable, you could call it, and the big steel door is just not there. It's like it was open, someone forgot to close it, it was just never put in place. Maybe someone stole it if they wanted a gigantic piece of scrap metal to melt down for something. But hey, never assume malice when stupidity will suffice. I have more faith in the incompetence of stable tech than the ingenuity of Wastelanders. He's got a point. Marveling at the staggering oversight of construction, I headed out, kicking the skull of some unfortunate latecomer as I went. Beyond where the stable door should have been was a rickety little wooden door with some chicken wire across it and bright light filtering through, and so I just ran through a quick checklist in my head. Trusty Nerf gun sidearm, check. Cherry bombs, blew the last one trying to get the door open. Trepidation at leaving a familiar world behind for a dangerous new one, completely absent. Nobody in that hole ever cared about me, I never cared about them, and I wasn't angsty or poetic about it at the time. I was mostly just like, ooh, what's out there? Now outside, I quickly found out why the air was so cold and wet. In Merseyside, it rains all the fucking time. Seasons and weather just aren't a thing in the stable, and now here I was in the Great British summer. Really, Great Britain? Is that what he's going with here?
I mean, yes.
Where the hell is Great Britain?
I think it's an island somewhere in some forgotten sea across some forgotten ocean. Maybe. It's been a long time.
Which brings us right back to the question of where the fuck did all this paper come from? Whatever.
I'm betting over there.
Over there?
Yeah. Pick a direction.
We should send the word over there. Anyways, I miraculously emerged during a dry spell. It's miraculously dry there? Wow, this place does get rain a lot. But the ground was still wet and muddy. The sky was streaked with murky gray. I thought murky was green.
I have no idea who.
Oh, you've never heard of that Pegasus kid from Philadelphia?
I've seen a lot of kids.
Okay. I've seen a lot of graffiti about who the hell is Murky 7. Anyways, murky gray, which seemed to reflect the lifeless, soggy countryside. Husks of trees dotted the landscape of rolling hills, and some charred buildings sat in clusters on the horizon. But most of all, everything just looked and felt wet. The air and ground were saturated with moisture, and even without rain, I could feel the omnipresent dampness beginning to claim me, too. Weather never changes.
Hey, why didn't we do some fancy voice for the first line?
I don't know.
War sometimes changes.
I don't know. I think that's too badass for that line.
Maybe.
We'll work it into post-production. And if we can ever figure out what post-production is. I proceed...
Get those machines running again.
I figure it's something like putting in a fence.
How are those machines coming along?
They're making noises, clangs, and scrapes.
Which is pretty much what they were doing before we arrived.
I'm just a technical expert. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know.
And we love you for it. Speaking of which, where's Tinker?
Technically an expert?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, where's Tinker? You know, our actual mechanic? Isn't he supposed to be working on the ship?
Maybe he's still asleep. I don't know. I don't sleep. I just bang on the machines with wrenches until they work.
Well, and
Percussive maintenance.
Any pony who's half metal can sleep as long as he wants, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So anyway, I proceeded to abuse myself with the textures of the outdoors. How do you abuse yourself with the texture? And is it any fun?
It probably rubbed me the wrong way.
I'm kind of squishy. I don't have texture anymore.
Anyways, the first thing that I did was slip in the mud. Fucking smooth. I think I could feel my ass getting irradiated as I skidded down the hill on it, leaving a gouge in the yellow grass. I stopped in a puddle at the bottom, having spun halfway around, getting a look at where I'd just emerged from. It wasn't exactly inconspicuous, the pile of rocks on the only hill in a field with a shitty door set into it. I was surprised nobody had come to loot the place sooner. It wasn't until later I found out that it was just so far from other shelter, nobody had a reason to go that far. It being the tallest point in my immediate vicinity, I decided it'd be a good idea to get on top of the rocks to get my bearings. It was surrounded by sheer walls, but sitting in a puddle half covered in soil, I ain't no mud pony. Despite sitting in a mud puddle half covered in soil. Wow, I miss words. I flapped my wings twice and covered the other half of me in mud. Way to go, kid. Wait, Pegasus? Never mind, we'll get to it later. With a grumble, I picked myself up and tried again, getting a couple of feet into the air before losing it again and gouging another chute down the hill to the puddle. Whee! See, in the stable, am I going to be doing these back in my deicides to stable life all the time? I hope not. There wasn't much room to try and fly. I'd always known Pegasi were supposed to fly, from reading things that they had around the place. It was just a sensible thing to assume that ponies with wings were adapted to some kind of airborne travel. The most I'd ever used them for was the long jumping. Get a running start, couple of flaps, I could close distances pretty quickly. But actual flight was not something... Yeah, fight or flight. That never happens in the Wasteland. Actual flight was not something you could do in a stable without giving yourself a concussion. I wonder if you learned that from experience.
It sounds oddly specific.
I stood up, shook myself off, stretched my wings out again. Damn, the books made this look so easy. I started flapping them just straight up and down. That pushed me a few inches up and then a few inches back down again. Useful for forcefully stamping the ground and getting mud fucking everywhere, but it wasn't flight. It took a couple of moments to figure out what ways I could move my wings. There was some rotation at the shoulder joint, but the pinions didn't seem to do anything apart from fold and unfold. Are we seriously learning about the physical puberty of this cult?
I've never been a Pegasus. I wouldn't know.
Wings, how do they work?
I always thought that they were too small on a Pegasus.
And granted, I'm a unicorn. I've never had wings myself, but this kid's born with them. What the hell? So I tried again, moving them around in circles, which was a bit more productive, but still uneasy flight. I got a bit of a hover going before crashing to the ground and rolling backwards. So I landed in the puddle again on my back. Yay, go you. You know, just in case I missed the spot in my previous 2 mud baths, I contemplated looking for a couple of cucumber slices to finish the job. At least you got a sense of humor about it. Since staring at the infinite ceiling of this outside place was starting to make me dizzy, I rolled over and got back up. One more try, I thought. I reared back with a shake, ran a couple of steps forward, and jumped, swinging my wings as I ascended. I was still going through the motions of running, but couldn't feel ground. Success! I was even moving forward. I pressed my nose toward my target, the summit of this infernal rock. A moment later, I stuck it in the ground with a squelch. I stopped myself before sliding all the way back down. I pouted and just started climbing like a stupid mud pony. I'd get to the flying part later. On top of the rock was kind of windy, and being covered in wet mud, this made for some pretty bad wind chill. If all of the wasteland was this miserable, I was considering just going back into the stable for the sake of it being warm and dry. I mean, if I'd come out somewhere nice and sunny, it'd be great. Maybe more irradiated, but radiation isn't uncomfortable. I had a pretty good view of the area, but it didn't mean a lot to me. I couldn't tell one cluster of bombed-out ruins from another, and the only thing my pit buck was telling me was how happy the little guy in the illustration was. I shrugged and jumped off the rock with wings outstretched, looking for any old direction. My first attempt at gliding went better than the flying, and with the height advantage, I managed to get a whole 10 feet before losing control and dumping myself in the puddle. My wings ached from effort. In hindsight, it's not surprising because I'd never seriously used them before, but man, my wings were weak. I huffed and started walking. One thing that was becoming pretty apparent to me by now was how big outside was. I decided to head for one of the building-looking things, but 15 minutes later, it didn't seem any closer than it had when I started. Or it might have been 15 minutes. The clock on my wrist was never going to say anything other than 12:34. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'd cleared a couple of hills and passed some trees with some dead stuff nailed to them, but nothing really interesting or useful. A crackle startled me. A crackle startled me. I looked around for the source. Words, how do they work? The hills were bunched here, and the dips between them were a bit steeper. I hurried to the top of one hill and lay down. I was already caked in mud. What was a little more going to do? There were some more vaguely mechanical sounds. A hoof, a voice, and some hoof steps approaching. Yes, a hoof and some voice steps. Dyslexia can warn without striking, kids. As it got closer, I could recognize wheels rolling on stone. I lowered my brow and slipped my forelegs into the straps for my gun. They had a few guns down in the stable. Here we go again. But not much ammunition for them, so they were left to one side as mere curiosities. The pistols were clearly not designed with affirmative action in mind, because with a little trigger there was no way anyone but a unicorn could get it to work. There was also some mean-looking, saddle-mounted minigun with a mouth trigger, but there really wasn't a way to aim without turning your whole body, which is kind of cumbersome at the best of times and plain useless in the close quarters of stable tunnels. And then there was my Nerf gun. I found it in a storage crate when I was 8 and never got tired of it. It was just so much fun to annoy ponies by shooting in the face with little foam darts from a hiding place. But what set it apart from the other guns was that it was foreleg mounted. It had a holster and some straps and was designed so you just slip a hoof into the straps to take it out and then holster it again to walk. It needed 2 hooves to operate and wasn't very friendly to moving and firing, but it was just so much easier to aim. I'm still confused as to why more guns aren't built like that. Actually, it sounds pretty cool. Set up atop the hill, I gazed down the sights at the source of the noise and pulled the pump. 2 ponies rounded the corner, pulling a cart and chatting to each other. I waited for them to get a little bit closer, raised my aim a bit, and fired. The wind made the dart swerve and curl, but it was inconsistent enough that it still bopped one of them on the forehead. They froze and lowered. Seriously, you shot somebody with a Nerf gun. 10 minutes out of the stable, you are trying to get yourself killed.
That's a better record than people who are ponies that never made it out of the stable.
True. So we'll give them about a wash at this point. Okay. They froze and lowered their stances. They had faces like a peppy teacher and just exclaimed, "Pop quiz!" I pulled the pump and fired again, this time accounting for wind. I was able to hit the other one right between the eyes. He jumped and yelped, swatting at his own face. Maybe he was trying to bolt without untethering himself from the cart, or he just had a fit, but either way, he fell forward and planted his face in the mud. I couldn't contain my giggle any longer at this point. His companion screwed up his face and looked on the ground, levitating up one of the darts to inspect it. Come on, Sandy, they're just... Oh, you want to do this?
Yeah, I gotta give you a break. This is the first line of dialogue in the whole thing.
I know, right? So he inspected it.
Come on, Sandy. They're just foam bullets. Some joker's hiding in the bushes with a toy.
Sandy leapt up and started dancing anxiously in place.
What if it's just a distraction? We have no visibility. There could be raiders behind us. Run for your life!
Hey, Gamma, you want to get in on some of the voices here?
Absolutely not.
An honest ghoul is the best ghoul. He started heaving against the cart, again forgetting to untether before trying to flee. That should have been hilarious to watch. The other pony just looked at him with an armor-piercing stare. At this point, I rolled over and laughed out loud. He must have spotted me then, because a few seconds later, I was in midair without having opened my wings.
There we go. Hey, relax. It's just some stable rat. I didn't even know there was one around here.
Hey! I swung a hoof at him from my useless magical hover. He brought me closer and examined me.
How long ago did you crawl out of that hole?
It's been so long, I'm not even sure I remember. 20 minutes? He frowned and dropped me in front of him.
You're lucky we're the first ponies you come across up here. Stick with us and we'll take you to town so you can get on your feet.
Really? You don't seem happy to see me. He picked up both my darts and stuffed them in my nose.
If you'd tried that trick on raiders, they'd be ventilating your skull by now. I'm Hard Cell, and my jumping bound here is $100.
Sandy stopped trying to run away and lowered his head with a blush.
We're traders. Now come on. We need to get moving before it starts raining.
Rain?
Right, stable.
Cell sighed and grabbed my head and tilted it up.
See those clouds? More often than not, they make water fall from the sky. Water that doesn't come out of a machine is probably irradiated. If radioactive water's falling on your head and you don't have shelter, you're probably going to die a horribly painful death of radiation poisoning. You don't want to be blowing all your caps on right away.
I stared at him blankly. I guess caps referred to currency based on context, but playing the part of the oblivious stable dweller was more fun to watch. He grumbled again.
Oh, come on. The sooner we dump you in civilization, the better. You aren't just going to attract attention.
He started walking, and Sandy started walking too. I'm Atom Smasher, by the way, I grunted, removing... Yeah, that's really grunting. I grunted, removing the darts from my nose and returning them to my weapon. Let me see if I can get this right. I'm Atom Smasher, by the way. It hurts trying to shove your hoof up your nose. Ow.
Maybe Gamma can do it. Hey, give it a shot.
Well, thank you. I've lost enough body parts as is. I don't want to pry off another one.
He's got a point. So anyways, I grunted, removing the darts from my nose and returning them to my weapon.
Say, Adam.
Sam started.
If you want to make yourself useful, I think we have just the ticket for you. Cell, get that jumbo revolver wheel. I think we found what it fits.
Hardcell rolled his eyes and rummaged in the cart. A roll of charred Nerf darts floated into view. Hey, more darts! I went to grab them, but Cell lifted them away from me.
Careful with those. Cell, show her what I mean.
Sandy's lovely assistant picked one dart off the roll and tossed it down the road. Upon hitting the ground, the mud burst with a loud pop and flung little drops everywhere.
Nearly blew my leg off handling them. And the best part?
We came to the crater, and the dart was resting on the side. Cell picked it up and returned it to the roll.
I spent a good half a day just throwing them, and they work every time. Enchanted, probably. And if they fit in that toy, you've got yourself a pretty handy grenade launcher.
Cool! Gimme!
Ah.
Cell, continuing to be a bastard, lifted the darts away from me again.
That'll be 80 caps.
Oh, come on! I just crawled out of a bunker!
Everything has a price. No caps, no darts.
Sanddollar frowned at him and then at me.
Sandy, don't even think about giving away our stock. She's probably just going to get herself killed as soon as we let her out of her sight.
Thanks, author, for letting us know your gender early on. Oh, I think this is another Sandy bit. Did they say it was a she before this?
I do not remember.
I mean, heck, we didn't even get to Pegasus until, went down the hillside, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Atom Smasher really doesn't sound so much as a filly's name. Or even a colt's name. Or anybody's name.
Well, as ponies, they're just kind of abstract concepts half the time. Or
That's
specific
true.
jobs.
I still don't know why my last name is Calbeck. I think it has to do with my cutie mark, which I haven't figured out either. Anyways, I believe it's off to Sandy here.
Oh, that's right. Maybe we can work something out. We don't have a security for this leg of our trip. Sandy? No. She hit us both between the eyes of the regular darts. Just sit on top of the cart and we've got a short-range turret. Until she gets hit by a sniper. Better than nothing.
Cell stopped walking and glared at Sandy. Sandy grinned hopefully. I kept my mouth shut. Eventually, he lowered his head, started pulling again, and shoved the darts at me.
Fine. Get us to Colton in one place and you can keep him.
Deal! It's not like I had a better plan. I mean, now that I had an offensive weapon, I could just pop them both in the head and loot the caravan, but then I'd still be in the middle of nowhere. I changed the regular darts for the explosive ones and crawled on top of their goods pile. Maybe I'd wait until we could see Colton before offing them. Level up! Wait, what? New perk. It's Nerf or Nothing! You deal lethal damage with foam-based weapons. And that, fillies and gentle colts, is where we are at the end of Chapter 1. Not a bad opening for a psychotic little Pegasus, filly, bitch, crazy thing.
Yeah, as much as, most ponies describe their protagonist, needs a bit more to it.
That is a pretty awesome piece of cover art, and I don't know who draws this stuff for the stacks of stuff that wind up outside our door either.
Well, I was just having fun watching your face turn blue for the first half of the story, Calbeck.
Blue really doesn't go with white so much. Not when it's just your face.
No, not so much.
Gamma, what did you think?
I don't know. I think it's a good start, but there are better fics out there.
There's many, many more that are worse.
This is true. Very true.
So, all in all, for our first time back in a year, I think we got lucky with this one. We have no clue whatsoever here at Wastelanders Weekly.
And that's the way we like it.
That was Fallout Equestria Duck and Cover by Haha Time for Ponies, available on finfiction.net. That's FIMFICTION.net. Finfiction.
That sounded oddly religious.
That was very pre-war radio.
Thank you.
Calbeck.
That's what I was going for. I've been listening to things. Just looking at some of the bigger titles circulating around the Wasteland, because for some reason, once we get a story, it just gets out into the general... we start getting people calling in. Granted, we haven't been here for a year to get any calls, but that's what was happening before, so... I don't know how this universe works!
We should have found an answering machine.
Yeah, I did find it. I think that's one of the things that Rippy was eating.
The answering machine. Well, that's a good thing in my view.
I'll hit it with my wrench later and see if I can fix it.
Well, if we don't have anything for the bigger themes, there's a smaller side to the Wasteland as well. Here's Detroit's finest, DJ Boombark, with his mad bass and crass laughs. He's taken time out to tell us about one he's enjoyed so far.
Yo! DJ Boombark here for the lesser-known fix of Fallout Equestria. What y'all need to read is Just Another God's Pony by Wasteland. Now, our good friend here has a bit of a bind, being out of a means to keep on keeping on with the fic. But this is straight gold, you dig? It says love, hate, revenge, and a whole lot of drugs. This is just a taste of what you're about to experience secondhand. Now, I would bet that it's supposed to be hoof, but whatever. Just remember, kiddies, to check this out and wait patiently for an update. Oh, and we might just get to read this one sometime too. Stay tuned.
Does he always have some sort of music playing around him?
Yep, I mixed that one for him.
Oh, are you too close?
Kinda.
So anyways, we're going to go ahead and get done with finishing this segment of Wastelanders Weekly off with this tune. Hope you enjoy it. From some of the ponies out there who are still musically inclined, have instruments, and somehow have the ability to transmit it from somewhere.
Well, nobody likes my baby, 'cause she shoots at gamma rays. But when I see her fluorescent eyes, I fall into a daze. 'Cause she's my fallout filler, with its kiss, yeah. So we'll hold up together in the shelter of eternal bliss. Well, I wouldn't say my baby's exactly popular with the crowd. 'Cause when she opens her mouth to speak, out comes a mushroom cloud. But she's my fallout filler, with its kiss, yeah. So we'll hold up together in the shelter of eternal bliss. Well, she sets my Geiger counter hard and ticking when she does the nuclear jive. Her head is swimming in molecules of U-235. But she's my fallout 4.67 times 10 to the 9th power years. Yes, this is my fallout film with its kiss, yeah. So we'll hold up together in the shelter of eternal bliss. Well, we'll hold up together in the shelter of eternal bliss. Yes, we'll hold up together in the shelter of eternal bliss.
Well, that's all for our show tonight.
I hope we managed to keep you somewhat sane during this playthrough. Those unique weapons can be a tad annoying to get your hooves on, eh?
Yeah, our friendly Hobo is still out there looking for Celestia's Scorcher.
Did that thing ever work?
Nope, it's been broken beyond repair. But game completion is very important to some ponies out there.
Tune in next time when Vooper says...
Well, never mind. That's for next time anyway. Good night, every pony.
Oh, crankshaft, I'm late. And on my first broadcast. Glitched alarm. Wait, who put you on military time? Wait, why are all the clocks in the bunker on military time? Someone has been screwing with my bunker. More complications, one after another, compounded, unending, variable values be null. It's already an arduous task to keep this place running with immeasurable goodwill and ad hoc materials. Now someone goes about and... slag it. Where are my files for the show? I had everything on this desk with all my organized chaos. Come on, where are you? No, that's not it either. Oh, here they are.
Artist Showcase.exe prepped. Music Playlist.exe prepped. All programs ready. Proceed to Media Room. Please follow the highlighted path on your heads-up display.
Oh, finally. Good. Everything good to go? Everything downloaded? Alright. Everything prepared. Alright. Whew. Alright. They better not be mad. Oh, if they are, I'll just get mad too. It'll be an exponential growth of madness. Oh, how dare they get mad at me for not being there to turn on their equipment because someone altered my clocks. Oh, who am I kidding? This is all my fault. Their broadcast is all late, and it's all my fault. Oh, please don't be mad at me. Please don't be mad at me. Oh, please don't let me be too late. Here, sorry for keeping you guys all waiting.
Huh?
Waiting? Waiting for what?
The show. Okay, don't worry. I can salvage this. All right, let me just get everything set up and hit these. All right.
We did...
Sinker?
Yeah.
It's been over for hours.
Over for hours?
Yep.
You mean you guys got everything going on your own?
Well, there's the power button over there.
And the recording button next to it.
I forgot everything was labeled. Damn your user-friendly design. Well, I guess I'm obsolete now. Oh well.
Of course not.
Did the show go well?
It went okay. Kind of tinny. I know there's a couple of problems in the recording equipment somewhere, but it's working. That was the important thing. We really appreciate you around here. I mean, the place would be a wreck the way we found it if you hadn't been fixing it up since we found it.
Well, I'm the stuff not broken fairy. I come with the place. So, yeah, I guess you don't need me for the show then.
Well, of course we need you for the show. And
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like, actually in show, like,
Well, what do you want to do in the show?
Visual media. It's what I really enjoy.
What?
Visual media communication. I love science and art, and I'll use my science to give everyone art.
But we're a radio show.
So?
No one can see the art. It's a radio broadcast.
No. You think it's an auditory-only radio broadcast? You're funny. Actually, anyone with a TV or Pippa can use the signal I seeded into the broadcast to see the artwork. Or, technically the inside of the broadcast room. Wait, where are you going, Roy?
I look terrible.
Is he gonna be alright? I'm not broadcasting the seed now. The show's over. No one gets to see it.
Well, I wouldn't mind seeing it.
What? Really? You want to see it? I spent so long working on it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we both do. Who's the artist you're showcasing?
Just an old friend of mine. Nessie. She's a toaster like me.
What's a toaster?
It's a derogatory. Cyber pony.
So, why use it?
We own it. Anyway, that aside, before another segue, I guess you want to see, right?
Well, of course. Let's get to it.
Alright, well, if I was going to do it like we were doing the show, I'd sit right over here, and I'd look straight ahead, and I'd hold out my hoof like this, and say, "You're a little chrome toaster here to bring you some visuals. Check out this high-definition number." Likely, many of you Wastelanders have seen her art on DrawFriend or on the well-known website Equestria Daily. Nessia Fizzle is a well-known and respected artist on Fur Affinity, DeviantArt, and she even has her own Tumblr pages, which will be available in the Data Seed comment section below the informational broadcast. She is 226 years old and is one of the relics of the Old War. Just like yours truly, she was the first mate of an airship captain, serving as its navigator. Nowadays, you can find her running around smiting fools and raiders in some of her favorite video games as she passes the time. And oh boy, there's a lot of time to pass. As for her art, her style is inspired by anime and her favorite animations and comic books, but she has a distinct, rounded style that comes into its own fold. The art is very easily distinguished from the work of other artists. And, then, I point down here, and along the bottom of the broadcast screen, everyone else can see all the information scrolling, and if they click it, I'd take them to a cloud data server with all the artwork I mentioned on it. At least all the pieces I was able to collect. And that's how I do the artist showcase. If I hadn't missed the entire broadcast.
My hair is a mess.
It looks fine, really, Roy. You look rugged.
It's just as good as it always is.
You mean it always looks that bad?
Shh.
Ah!
Oh, well, it was a good thing it wasn't in here. Wait, are we still... Is everything still on?
I think so. I didn't push the button yet. Anyway, let's go get lunch. You do eat lunch, don't you?
Well, I'm a cyber pony, not a robot, so yeah, but I kind of do that kind of thing alone,
Come on. Let's get something to eat.
You mean something to eat with you? Like,
Yeah, like people going to get lunch.
Oh, right. Silly me. That's exactly what it is. Alright, well, let me turn off the equipment first, and, let's hope no one saw this little mishap, otherwise they'll see Roy's messy hair. Okay, and goodbye, every pony.